Hola, ¿cómo está Las Vegas? And welcome to Face the Tribune with Rolando Larraz. I am your co-host, Chris Garcia, and we were on a one-day holiday yesterday. It was my wife's birthday, but we are back today. And Rolando, what's going on with you? What's happening?
Not much. I was enjoying the extra day off, and I did. We have a guest today that she's gonna call in from Carson City, and she's gonna write about the book that she wrote about her son that was incarcerated and died in prison.
Oh, wow.
And after he died, they realized that he was in prison wrongfully sentenced to a prison term. Then it doesn't have. He was innocent. He was in prison. He was innocent. After he died, they find out that he was not. That is even worse than being in prison when you are, dying in prison. And she's going to be calling in about, 12:15, 12:30, somewhere around there. And we're going to talk to her, and hopefully we can have a good communication, because it is a fantastic story. It's an unbelievable story,
Wow. That's horrible.
And I believe that it needs to be told. It needs to be told.
Absolutely.
I always say, I don't know who invented that phrase, but I believe strongly that I'd rather see a guilty person walk than an innocent being put in prison.
Absolutely.
I'd rather see 3 people that are guilty walk than seeing an innocent man being put in prison, And that happens every single day in this country. You tell people outside this country the injustices that we have in here, and they don't believe it.
Yes.
The image that the United States used to have is about this country is over here we have no homeless, we got no people hungry, we have justice.
Yes.
All that image that I don't know if we still have it. I haven't been out of the country in about 20 years, 30 years. I have not been out of this country, but because I'm afraid to go any place else. You go any place else and you tell them that you're from the United States, and you're taking a chance, you're taking a risk of being killed, of being kidnapped, of being held hostage.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily the best thing to do, tell people that you live in the United States, but anyway, before she called, let's talk a little bit about the president-elect. We are always, what do you think about this? Tomorrow we're going to have Bob Beer, City Councilman. Bob Beer coming in, and he's going to do the show with us.
Excellent.
Same way that his buddy Larry Brown did.
Excellent.
But anyway, now they're coming out with everything he do is a reason for criticizing him. Why can they stop? You're a little more intelligent than I am. Tell me, why are they why do they have to find reasons to criticize him all the time?
I think, Rolando, what it is, the Republicans have it wrong. The Republicans think that the reason that the Democrats are going after Donald Trump and criticizing every pick that he makes is because they want to delegitimize his presidency. That's wrong. I don't believe that that's why they're doing that. I really honestly believe they cannot believe they lost this election. I mean,
I agree with that.
They absolutely,
definitely.
They cannot believe that this man is the president and he's filling his cabinet. Like, they can't get over that the election actually is over.
But I'm going to tell you a
secret.
secret. I'm going to tell you a secret, my friend. A lot of Republicans are in the same boat. A lot of Republicans are in the same boat. You know,
absolutely.
Let the guy work.
They can't.
Let the guy. It's not 4 years. It's not that long.
You're giving away the topic of my show today.
Okay.
But no, yeah, it's weird me and you think so much alike because that's what I'm going to talk about today on my show. But you're absolutely right. And I've been watching them and really they can't believe that this man is president and he's actually filling his cabinet. They just cannot believe it.
And he's filling the cabinet with unbelievable people. You know, he is good. He even have people that didn't like him.
Yes.
He's bringing people to the table that they didn't like him, didn't trust. I don't think, what's his name? The Rick Perry was too fond of
No, he couldn't stand it. And
really?
He's Secretary of Energy. Yeah, he hated Donald Trump. He did not like Donald Trump during the election. So neither did Mitt Romney. I mean, it's amazing, who he's filling this.
At least he didn't hire Mitt Romney.
Not yet. But yeah,
he did a good choice with that guy from Exxon.
Yeah? Absolutely he did, Rolando. Absolutely.
The guy know all those countries. They know what they are. He know them from the outside. So now that he's in charge, he know how to control them. He know how to work with them.
Absolutely. See, the thing about it is that Donald Trump, and when people ask me this question, well, how could you vote for him? How could you support him? Every billionaire is selfish in a way. Of course, Donald Trump wants himself and his friends to get richer. They're already rich. Yeah. The difference between him and the Democrats is that the Democrats just want themselves to get rich. They don't care about the American people. Donald Trump, the deals that he's going to make are definitely going to benefit him, but they're going to benefit the people too because they're going to put the people back to work. When you do deals with Russia, because they're sitting on so many natural resources, then we become less dependent on the Middle East for oil. We become less dependent on the Middle East, on Saudi Arabia for oil. We're not held hostage by the Saudi Arabians. And the Democrats, they want everything to stay the same, the liberals, because their pockets are getting filled. But the American people are suffering. And what Donald Trump wants to do is cut deals with new countries where they're gonna have to invest in America. That's what he wants to have happen. And so these people are mad because they're not going to get paid. The Clinton Foundation isn't going to get millions of dollars in donations no more. So they're pissed off at the world because their gravy train is coming to an end. And Donald Trump wants to put people back to work. That's what's important.
And what a lot of people, what nobody have asked, why did he leave the Democrat Party? Yes. Why did he left the Democrat Party? He used to be a Democrat. He used to be one of them.
Yes.
Why did he leave?
Absolutely. He saw the way he did business, and what's happened over the last 8 years is Barack Obama and the Clintons and his friends have gotten rich, but the people are out of work.
And every time we talk about parties, I have to agree with Clark Philly. Why do we need parties for? Look, one of my favorite people, Oscar Goodman, Democrat all his life. He left the Democrat Party. He became independent. He didn't need to change party back then already. He already had 3 terms as a mayor of Las Vegas when nobody, thought he was going to win. Well, nobody except the Vegas Tribune. I knew he was going to win. Why? Because he is not obligated to anybody. He got his own money. Nobody can tell him what to do. And it reminds me of Donald Trump. Yeah. Or Donald Trump reminds me of, I don't know, they must be about the same age, but I met Oscar before I ever hear of Donald Trump. Yeah. You know, that's why I like Oscar Goodman, you know, and I believe that he is a very independent person. I think people should be voting for the person, not for the party. Yes. I don't think, I think it is important to do that, you know. The number to call here is 983-0711, right? Yes. Okay, so I gave that lady the right number. I just wanted to make sure that what time is in that clock? The clock is wrong, right? Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought it was my eyes.
This is trying to confuse.
I thought it was my eyes. You know. Oh my God. Oh. She's taking the title too serious, and she forget about the important things. You know, that's what it is.
She's enjoying a wonderful Italian meal over there, though.
Yeah. Is that left over from yesterday?
That's good, too.
Yeah? That's what it is. Where do you go to celebrate your birthday? Are you going to tell us how old are you now?
21.
21?
Yeah. Again.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's the way it is. You know, so, but anyway, I believe then how many more positions he need to fill? 4, right?
Yes, I believe so.
I think it's 4.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know what 4s are they, you know, but he got most of the positions already locked up.
Yes.
And he got 4 generals.
Yes.
And that's what made me happy. You know, people are afraid of those generals.
Yes, they are.
They are afraid. And I'm going to use a phrase that is always used by police and prosecutors. If you have nothing to worry about it, you don't have to worry about it. You know, if you don't have anything to hide, you don't have to worry.
That's right.
You know, and that's what happened with this. I hate when they tell you that, even in court. You see, Your Honor, he's not showing any guilty. She's not showing any remorse.
That's right.
What do you want me to show you? My lawyer told me to be cool. My lawyer told me not to show any expression. Now you criticize me for not showing any expression.
That's right.
You know, I mean, how can you do that? You know, it is confusing. It is unbelievable confused. You know, so I believe that we're gonna have the stock market is still going up. It's still going up every day. I mean, something had to come out of this thing, you know. Something had to come out of these elections.
Yes. And they're talking about the trillions of dollars, Rolando, that's going to be repatriated back into the country. It's so much money that's overseas in these banks that's been on the sidelines because people are afraid to invest in American companies and have their money in American banks.
You're on the air.
Hi, this is Tonja Brown calling.
Oh, hi, Tanya. How are you?
Oh, I'm well, and you?
I'm okay. And we're here with Chris Garcia, my co-host. I don't know if you was listening to the show before you called, but we are very excited for your call because I think people need to know your story. And I'm going to give you the opportunity for you to talk and fill us in because we haven't been talking too much. So we need to hear what you have to say. What is the book about it?
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to appear as a guest on your show. The book is called To Prove Innocence. It's a nonfiction based on the events of my brother, Nolan Klein.
Oh, it was your brother, not your son.
No, it was my brother.
Oh, okay. I erroneously said that earlier. Then it was your son. Okay, go ahead.
I'll just kind of briefly run it down to you and spend a couple of minutes on it, and then if you have some questions, we can go from there. Is that okay?
Okay, perfect.
Okay. In 1988, there was in Sparks, Nevada, there was an armed robbery, sexual assault that took place at the Payless Shoe Store on May 9th, 1988. During that time, my brother Nolan Klein, along with several other patrons, were in Carson City, some 30-some-odd miles away, in Jack's bar, playing pool and making bets on whether or not the Nostradamus, he is the prophet, prediction was going to come true that on May 10th, California was going to suffer a great earthquake and fall into the ocean. Well, they were just sitting around and playing pool and having a good time with it. And at that time, like I said, in Sparks, a robbery and a sexual assault, and I want to say supposedly alleged sexual assault, and we'll get into why I say that in a little bit, was taking place. About 2 weeks after the crime occurred, he walked past the Payless Shoe Store at Sparks, and one of the victims said that he looked similar to the guy that robbed us and raped the manager. So he was picked up for questioning. Well, actually, when he was prior to that, he had gone to make a phone call to tell his girlfriend he was going to be late. And then approximately 5 officers showed up, threw him down to the ground, and guns at his head, and then he was picked up and detained for questioning at the Sparks Police Department. He spent several hours. No Miranda was ever given. Okay? So approximately 4 months later, he is arrested for the crime. And so in September of 1988, up until January 23rd, when his trial began in 1989, he had been in jail waiting a trial. Over the years, there was evidence that was given, I should say that there was evidence given to his public defender, Shelley T. O'Neill. She never looked into it. He was lazy. And so we'll fast forward it to the process, which is in 1991. There was a post-conviction hearing. He had raised 33 grounds on ineffective assistance counsel, judicial misconduct, jury misconduct, prosecutorial misconduct, and it was assigned to the same trial judge, Judge Charles McGee. During that post-conviction hearing, Shelley T. O'Neill committed perjury. Several instances in which she committed perjury. To protect her career, she even went so far as to say that he had confessed to her after the trial down at the jail.
Tonja, let me ask you that Judge McGee is the same judge that was killed, or Mac tried to kill because his ruling in family court?
Judge McGee?
Yeah.
He was a district court judge. Okay, he was the judge for the trial. He was the judge for the post-conviction.
But no, but my
judge for disappearance, which we'll get into, of the missing DNA evidence.
My question is he the same judge that was killed back there in northern Nevada?
He was still the judge.
Yeah. Okay.
Right now, and I will tell you that in 2004, I believe it was in 2004, Judge McGee had to retire. He was arrested for a DUI, and then he retired at the end of the year.
Oh.
He is now a sitting judge for the state of Nevada, so he can pick and choose what cases he wants to sit on. Okay. So let me just fast forward it here, and then we can get to some questions. In 1991, we had a post-conviction hearing. Shelley commits the perjury. The judge holds in her favor, and it goes to the Nevada Supreme Court. They uphold the lower court's decision, and then it goes through the process over the years into the appeals process. During this time, Mr. Klein was now living or housed in Eden, Nevada. He filed a petition in White Pine County, which was PA. He alleged that, and we had the documentation, that she had committed the perjury. And the judge's ruling in that stated that because she was not charged, much less convicted, he would have to dismiss that claim. Well, it's not like we did not try. After the trial, we got the transcripts, and after that hearing, Mr. Klein tried to move forward to having her charged with perjury, but at the time, Dorothy Nash-Holmes, who was the district attorney, set on the complaint, and actually, I filed one too, and she refused to really do anything with Mr. Klein's complaint, so therefore, I filed it with the Reno PD. The Reno PD believes that Shelley O'Neill committed the perjury, forwarded over to the DA's office where Dorothy Nash-Holmes was the district attorney. She sat on it until the statute of limitations ran out. So it's not like we didn't try. It's just that we couldn't get them to do their job. Okay? So then in 1995, there was a issue with an order that had come down. The federal court in 1994 had dismissed Nolan's appeal. Not really dismissed it, but what they did was they sent it back to Judge Charles McGee. He was the judge in the post-conviction. Nolan had raised 30 pounds, but he only picked and choose so many grounds. He went 20. So the federal court gave Judge McGee the opportunity to address those issues. Well, so then it was sent back to McGee. And so in August of 1995, Judge McGee dismissed it again. He didn't rule on it. He just basically said he was done with it. But he did state something in his decision that he said, because what came out in 1991 was the police had a prime suspect by the name of Mr. Zarsky. Okay? And in 95, Judge McGee stated that we should have considered that during the post-conviction hearing. Well, I knew it had been because it was raised in the petition, the 1990 post-conviction petition, in which we stated that we believed that there was another suspect because his public defender had received a newspaper clipping regarding the crime, in which, in the article, it stated that an unidentified detective said this was very similar to an April 21st, 1988 crime. Well, his public defender never looked into that. So after the trial, I found a newspaper article, and that again was in post-conviction.
It does surprise you that
in 1995, Judge McGee said we should have raised it in the post-conviction proceedings. Well, I knew we had, so I went back to the evidence room, and I took a look at the evidence, and then I discovered that somebody had tampered with his DNA evidence.
Wow.
And then we wound up having a hearing in 1998. And again, Judge McGee was the judge in that particular case, and again, he dismissed it. Fast forward 10 years to 2008. Mr. Klein is now appearing before the pardon court. He is sick, he is dying. So the director of Department of Corrections had put him in for compassionate release. Just prior to the pardon board, Mr. Gamek appeared on the Dunbar report, and Mr. Gamek unknowingly divulged and disclosed our answer to what became of the DNA evidence that the district attorney's office had opened it up. Well, the pardons board denied Mr. Klein a pardon, and at that time his attorneys quickly filed a motion in Washoe County and was assigned to Judge Brent Adams to compel Mr. Gammett to turn over the DNA test results. The Judge Adams granted that, and he also threw in that he was to turn over the entire file in Mr. Klein's case. So this took several months before we were able to see the file and everything. And so when the file was turned over, there were over 220 documents found in the file, mostly exculpatory evidence that would have exonerated him, and the handwritten notes of the prosecutor not turning over the evidence. So as his attorneys were getting ready to file motions for retrial and bail, Mr. Klein died. He never made it out.
Wow.
And so this is kind of where it's at. And over the years, I've become an advocate. I'm an advocate for the innocent. I'm an advocate for the inmates.
So
I try to get legislation created.
let me ask you, that book that you wrote, it is based on the Mr. Klein's experience, or you have other victims of the system also in the book?
Well, we have some statistics in the book. The book is primarily based on his case. You'll actually be able to read the trial transcript. You'll see the evidence that was presented. You'll see the evidence that was withheld, that exonerated him. You'll even see the evidence regarding the prime suspect and that we discovered. And you'll know that, I don't want to get into too much of it. You will learn that in 2011, I found the prime suspect. I hired a private investigator to find the suspect. The police believed he committed a crime my brother went to prison for. And I can just tell you that he knew he was the suspect in 4 robberies, and he adamantly denied he ever raped anyone. And earlier I mentioned that I said supposedly the victim was raped. And that's going to be left up to the reader to read, because at trial, okay, the state brought in the examining doctor, examined the victim, and on his medical report, handwritten medical report, he wrote, and that marked that there was no penetration. Okay?
Uh-huh.
So the question is, if there's no penetration, where is the rape? And there's also the question of the lawsuits that they have filed against my brother prior to trial. But then the victim didn't know who she was suing. And I'm just saying, they were awarded $750,000. It's a pretty good motive to lie. So, but you will be able to judge for yourself. The documentation is there. You'll be able to read the testimony. The book is over 400 pages, testimony, and there are numerous, 477 pages. There are a lot of exhibits, police reports that were hidden from the defense, that nobody knew about. And that's when I said, and here's the interesting part. Mr. Klein was only charged with the Payless Shoe Store robbery. The newspaper article that was submitted, given to public defender Shelley O'Neill and submitted as evidence, talked about an April 21st. Okay?
Yeah.
So nobody knew about anything else. She didn't look into that. And then in 1991, during the post-conviction proceedings, Mr. Klein's attorney, private attorney, subpoenaed the records from the Sparks Tribune.
Who was his attorney?
Pardon?
Who was his attorney?
Okay, at the time, his name was Joseph Slater. Okay? And this was during the post-conviction proceedings. And he had subpoenaed the records, and then the records, in fact, just prior to Shelley O'Neill testifying, he had gotten that, and I had neck him down in court, and he says to me, he says, you remember saying that there had to be another suspect? And I said, yes. He says, there was. He had the name. And that's all he said. And he had to go back into court. I wasn't allowed to go into the court because I had not testified yet. But the transcripts of that hearing are in the book, too, so you can decide. And you'll actually see Shelley O'Neill's testimony where it deals with the perjury and that she lied about the prime suspect. And you'll read that for yourself.
Did you testify?
I did testify, yes. I testified after she did. And so I will tell you that Mr. Klein did not fit the description. I'll tell you what the jury did not know because his attorney did not present it at trial. Okay, I did tell you that he was at Jack's Bar in Carson City on the time that the crime was being committed, and witnesses testified he was there. Not one defense testified at trial when they were shown the composite sketch why that was not Mr. Klein. They said it was not him. I think I sent you pictures of the suspect or the suspects in those cases, and I sent you a picture of Mr. Klein. Well, you can see that Mr. Klein has got these beautiful bright blue eyes, okay? And the suspect had brown eyes. That was the only thing that was brought out at the trial was the color of the eyes. What the jury did not know was that Mr. Klein, at the time of the crime, had a 2 to 3 inch beard, full beard at the time of the crime. The suspect had a 2 to 3 day old beard growth. The suspect had something wrong with his mouth or teeth, and Mr. Klein did not. Those major issues did not come out at trial. And the reason it didn't, she didn't present it, we wouldn't know until the post-conviction in 91, where she testified, and then we realized what had happened. The reason she did not bring up the beard evidence that Mr. Klein had a full beard the night of the crime, because in the booking picture that was taken 2 weeks after Mr. Klein was picked up for questioning, no Miranda was given, they took a picture of him. And at that time, he had a beard, okay? And it's depicted in the photo lineup. Now, she had taken that photo lineup, and then 4 months later when Mr. Klein was arrested, they took his booking picture. She had gotten the booking picture showing with the full beard, and the photo, the photo lineup showing the full beard, which was taken in May of 1988, and the booking picture that was taken in September 1988 reversed. So that's why she never elicited the information that Mr. Klein had a full beard at the time of the crime, and that's why she none of the witnesses, when they said that the composite didn't look like Mr. Klein, and why they never gave a reason as to why. She didn't present any information about his having anything wrong with his mouth or teeth. And I think I sent you a copy. The cover of the book, Proof of Innocence, I picked that photo because Mr. Klein is smiling. And so when you read the story, you're going to look and say, he didn't have anything wrong with his mouth or teeth. Well, his attorney didn't bring any of that up either.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's, we get into great detail of this case. And so the reader, like I said, will be able to determine.
How long
I
it
will
took?
tell you that they did have a peer review group, throughout the country. And Shelley O'Neill is, according to the peer review group, is the most hated person in the book, followed by Judge Charles McGee.
How long it took you to write the book?
Originally the book came out in 2005, and then we have changed it somewhat, and we've updated with all the new developments.
And the book is coming out next week, you say?
Yes, it should be finished. It's right now in the formatting process, and it'll be out within the week. It'll be on ebooks through Amazon, and then it'll be in paperback.
What's the name of the book?
Pardon?
What is the name?
The name of the book is To Prove His Innocence.
To Prove His Innocence.
Yes, there's a lot of names that you will recognize. For example, Judge Mills Lane. A lot of people may not realize he was a judge in Washoe County, but they might remember that he was the referee in the Holyfield-Tyson fight.
Right.
He went on to have a syndicated TV show called Judge Mills Lane Show.
Yeah.
And what I can say, and it is documented, is that in 1996, Judge Mills Lane, who had just become head of the court, Washoe County Court, and Reno detective Niles Carson conspired to conceal the disappearance of the missing DNA.
For your
and
brother.
And I have that in a letter.
For your brother?
Judge Mills Lane.
For your brother.
Yeah, it was See, he had tried, you have to understand, 1988, DNA was relatively new, it came out in 86.
Right.
he had heard about DNA, and he asked his attorney he had heard about it, he wanted to have DNA testing conducted. And we were told that at that time that it was too expensive, it was going to run around $5,000. The public defender's office didn't have that money, but the state, would have to, the prosecutor would be doing it. So when it came time to get the DNA done, that just day that the trial began, we learned that nothing was tested. Okay? So that led me to go to look at the evidence. So in 1989, I went down to the Washoe County Courthouse, not knowing if I could see the evidence. It was just a few weeks after the trial. I took photographs of the evidence, and Mr. Dinner, who was at head of the evidence room, made photocopies. And the DNA evidence, from victims and the DNA from Mr. Klein, was filled out with the red tape on it, and it questioned whether or not it was really tested or not. And so, in 1995, when Judge McGee mentioned in his order about Mr. Garcia that we should have raised it, I knew. That's why I went back to look at the evidence. In 1995, when I went back, tape had been ripped open of the DNA, and the filters that contained the DNA of the perpetrator had been removed. That became the tampering of the DNA evidence. I filed a police report in 1995, okay? In early 1996, when Judge McLean became head of the court, Detective Carson and him conspired to conceal what happened to it. And then in 2008, the Dunbar report, when Gammett was at that time was Washoe District Attorney Dick Gammett, who was being interviewed, he slipped up and said to stay open and test it. That answered the question we had been wanting to know for years. So that's because of that statement. That's what led us to be able to get us to look at the evidence in 2009, and that's when we discovered that all the exculpatory evidence was hidden from the defense, from us, and the jury. And what Ron Rachel, who was the prosecuting attorney, had done, and several people from the Washoe County District Attorney's Office, because this case kept having to go back there, they saw what was in the file, the notes, so they knew it wasn't turned over.
Let me ask you, do you have any problem gathering all that information for the book? Do they open the doors to you, or they shut the doors when you?
It's all documented. Because I have, for example, I have letters written to me from, I have a 1995 letter written to me from, at the time, Washoe County District Attorney Dick Gammett. So this is 1995, stating it was I should back it up. In 1992, I filed a perjury complaint against Shelley O'Neill. Dorothy Nash-Holmes sat on the complaint until the statute of limitations ran out. So then Dick Gammett ran for office. He won that. And when he won in 95, I contacted him to pursue the perjury charges against Shelley O'Neill. I have a letter from him to me stating he can't, even if the office wanted to, they could not charge her with perjury because the statute of limitations had run out. I then contacted the attorney, Tracy Del Papa, who was the Attorney General's office at the time, and she agreed that there was nothing that they could do because the statute of limitations of Shelley O'Neill had run out. And then during in the very beginning, in the early 2000s, when we started to do the book, Shelley O'Neill in 2000, prior to it going to print in 2005, was given a copy of the manuscript. It deals with the perjury that she had committed, what she had done, what the courts have done. She returned it without comment. She couldn't. And in 1993, she admits to me, and that was in the book, that she did in fact commit perjury. But she never contacted the court to tell him about her lies. So she knew then that her lies kept an innocent man in prison. She now recently has become the Reno municipal judge.
Wow.
And this is all documented. There are, like I said, there's an appendix with the actual evidence there, so you can see for yourself. You can see the statements. You can go to the Supreme Court. You can see the orders. There are some orders in there. You can just there's a history to this.
Are there any lawsuits that are pending?
I'm sorry, what?
Are there any lawsuits? Are you suing, or is the family suing, or?
There are no, in fact, that's just it. People, I want you to think about this. When the book came out in 1995, okay, the representative representing the Reno Police Department, the police department, and the DA, they could not. They tried to stop the book, but they couldn't because it was true. And so, no, we've never been sued. Believe me, they'd love to sue.
No,
But there's nothing that's not true.
No, I was
You can't sue anybody because technically he's never been fully exonerated.
No, Tonja, I think what Chris is asking if you are suing.
No, I cannot. I'm not suing. The only time there is one mention that I cannot sue on his wrongful conviction, but I did have a lawsuit against the state for his wrongful death because for lack of medical care while he was in prison. But we were still in court because the state of Nevada breached the terms of the settlement agreement.
Huh.
And that's in the book.
And the book came out the first time in 1995, you said?
No, the first time the book came out was in 2005.
Oh, so this is what, like the second edition, or?
Correct. And it's being updated. So it has the first book in there. Of course, it's kind of working differently. And with all the new developments, and then we actually get into the parole board, the pardons board, because they were all affected by it, some statistics, and this time we put in a lot of the testimony because the peer review group and the others wanted to hear the people, hear their voices, so to speak. So we put the testimony in there. So the reader is going to read the testimony. And then you're going to walk away from the book and say, how did he get convicted? And I will tell you that the photo one that was used, and this is in the book too, and you'll see a copy of the photo line, and this one that I sent you. In May of '88, when Mr. Klein was picked up for questioning, the victim was told that he picked up suspect and we had to let him go. And so right there tells you he's going to be in the photo line. Well, when you take a look at the photo lineup, and this came out of her testimony at trial, without any hesitation, she went right to number 3. And if you take a look at number 3, you will see that Mr. Klein is the darkest photo. He's cut off at the chin with a full beard, and everyone else is much lighter, and they are from the chest up. It's called unconscious transference. And so out of that photo lineup that I had shown to people who had no idea what Mr. Klein looked like, had no idea what the suspect looked like, went to the photo number 3 and picked him out and asked, is that him? 162 people. So don't you think that the victim would have done the same thing? And I will tell you this. I've been attending the Advisory Commission on the Administration of Justice since the inception of 2007. And this was something that was brought up through the commission. And that photo lineup is no longer being used in the state of Nevada because it has led to wrongful convictions. And that photo lineup array is no longer being throughout the country because it has led to wrongful convictions. And DNA testing through the Innocence project throughout the country, the statistics on those who have been in prison and been exonerated by DNA, and the percentage on those who were picked out through an eyewitness identification, whether it be in person or a photo lineup array, 73% of those were innocent. The DNA showed there was a case of mistaken identity. Mr. Klein's case.
Are you the only related person to Mr. Klein, or you have more relatives?
My mother passed away. She didn't want to live anymore, and so she passed away a few months after he died. She gave up. I have a brother, an older brother. He's a couple of years older than Mr. Klein was. They were estranged for years. He had this attitude, and I hate to say it, but I had the attitude too prior to Mr. Klein. situation, and that was they don't send innocent people to prison. So they don't do that. And for years and years, I always said that. The person is going to trial, they get convicted, they have to be guilty. And so he had an issue with that. He had the same mentality that I had prior to that, and most people did.
Most people did, yes.
It caused some animosity between the two. They hadn't spoken in years because Steve, my brother, my oldest brother, couldn't understand how he could have been convicted. He had just committed the crime, and he only could not forgive him. Why would he think he could do something like that?
But let me ask you, do you think that you change your way of thinking, you change your attitude because he was your brother, or because you found something that proved him to be innocent?
No, I changed my attitude because, and that's when it was shown to me that people make mistakes, because you'll remember I said that there were five witnesses testified for the defense. 4 of them were in Jack's bar, and I also testified because I called him and spoke to him just about that time the crime was being committed. And also, he was staying with me and living with me at the time. So when I was shown that, that composite sketch and that appeared in the newspaper, and actually how that came about was my mother handed it to me, and she says, I want you to read this and tell me what you think. And I read the article, and she came back a few minutes later, and she said to me, what do you think? And I said, I hope they catch him, and I hope they nail his butt to the wall. And she says, they're saying that's Nolan. I said, that's not Nolan. And so that's when it kind of started. His public defender was pregnant. It was her first pregnancy. She was approximately 35 years old. She wouldn't go and see him. She saw him 2 times in 4.5 months. The day before the trial began, she left his witnesses list behind and refused to call his witness list. My mother did most of the investigation. She went out. She found the evidence to help with this case. She found that gave Ms. O'Neill the newspaper article where it talked about the April 21st. She never looked into any of that. So after the trial, I knew the truth. I knew he was innocent. Not only that, I provided Ms. O'Neill with several names who had seen my brother just a couple of weeks prior to this incident at my son's birthday party, who could testify that Nolan Klein had a full beard the night of during this time, and one of those witnesses could have testified that just prior to the crime, she saw Mr. Klein. She spoke to him. She came over to my house. I had a convalescence done. And she brought me home, gave him the jury instructions. The only time between April and May was that his beard had gotten longer. So she didn't even elicit or use my witnesses about other people who had no connection to the bar, who had seen him previously, weeks earlier, and just days after the crime occurred. So then I started my own investigation. I found the information on the victim from April 21st. I found other information as well. And then it was put into the post-conviction of 1990 when we had the hearing in 1991. And then I still believe in the innocence because I know he's innocent. And I will never give up until I exonerate his name. I went so far to hire a private investigator who was able to track down the Sparks Police Department's prime suspect, Mr. Zarski, in 2011. And that's in the book too. And I can tell you that the only person, the only people that knew, who had knowledge of the Payless Shoe Store crime was the Sparks Police Department, the district attorney, and the perpetrator of the crime. And Mr. Zarski had information of the crime.
Wow. And this is the only book you have reading?
Well, the Mary Morgan is actually the author on this book, just like the first one. We all kind of co-authored that one. But yes, we all have a part. Like in the first chapter, it's from Nolan. Kind of a sad letter. we all have our input into the book. And I will tell you, Mary Elizabeth Morgan is her pen name. She is a practicing attorney. So that's the other thing that I'd like for you to realize when you're reading this. The attorney has gone over this with a fine-tooth comb, and she's given the reader a way to where we can understand it on the way the system works. We've lived it, but the reader maybe only knows a portion of how the system works. And she goes into it, and it goes into the whole system.
What do you do for a living before you wrote the book?
I started, I'm a housekeeper. And I've been doing this for 30 years now. And that's the other thing, too. I had many opportunities to get into a different field, you know, working with the state, having a retirement and things like that early on. And I chose not to because my brother needs me. So if there was something that he needed me to do, I could do it. And I would do it right away. So up until his death, his untimely death, there were many things, even over the years, that he'd call me and say, I need this, could you do this? Could you file this? Could you look into this? And sometimes I could do it in one day. Sometimes it would take me several days to do it. But I never gave up on him. And I made a promise to him that I will exonerate his name. I may not be able to do it in my lifetime, but my children will move forward with what I'm not able to accomplish through legislation.
Are you married now?
I am married. I've been married 38 years.
Wonderful.
Oh, and your husband supporting you on in all these endeavors?
My family supports me 100%.
Good, you're lucky. Because
I am.
sometimes...
And, you know, I'm very thankful because most people, over the years, it was very hard. I mean, I hate to say this, but I was there for my family, my children, my husband, but I really wasn't there, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Because my focus was always on my brother.
Let me ask you, because we only got 2 minutes left. When did the books coming out?
It should be out within the week.
Okay, you want to call?
It's going to be an ebooks for Amazon.
Oh, okay. And
then it'll come out in paperback.
When?
I'm not sure when, but I would like to add this too. Recently, my attorney was contacted. Have you seen the show Conviction? It's on ABC Monday.
Yes.
I think they're moving it to Sunday.
Excellent
anyway,
show. Yes.
My attorney was contacted by ABC. They were looking to possibly use this book as an episode in a future episode.
Oh, wow. That's a great show. That really is.
Well, keep in touch with us, and when the book come out, I'd like to invite you to come over to the show again and talk about the show, about the book.
I would love to.
I would like to put we both, like Chris and I, like to put a little grain of help in exposing the corruption that is happening in Nevada courts, not only in Las Vegas, not only in Lake Tahoe or Carson City, but also everywhere in Nevada.
Well, this actually goes through the Nevada Supreme Court justices, the Attorney General's office. It uncovers everything, and there are a lot of names that you will recognize.
Yes.
There are names that people you voted for and put into office, I'm sure.
Wow.
Knowing what they did behind closed doors.
Wow.
So, but keep in touch with us, and I thank you for being in the show today, and we like to offer the opportunity to come back again whenever you're ready to.
Oh, thank you very much, and I graciously accept your offer.
Thank you for calling.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
You
All
too.
right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Wow.
The